Meka Whaitari.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker, i ngā member te wharenei, tēnā tātou katoa. Mr Speaker, I'm happy to take a short call on this bill. Sir, the State Sector Act charges public servants the ability to provide free and frank advice without fee or favour to the government of the day. Why is this important? Is because we need to ensure that our advice to ministers and government of the day are apolitical in nature and impartial. And so I want to acknowledge the important role our public servants play in the running of our government. Sir, I raise that because Clause 18 takes that value of the State Sector Act and the protection of our public servants and says to our senior officials that you are not good enough to provide free and frank advice to the ministers on important issues like the environment. We don't trust you. We actually think that that best sits with ministers. Now, sir, I'm saying as all members of the House, we do not operate at the level that our senior public servants operate, and so I'm really disheartened to hear that this bill takes that very important role of senior public servants and places the ability to pick and select the topics that is under this legislation, and for that I'm very, very saddened by it. Sir, in the Minister's introduction to this bill, he talked about managing the environment. I got to sit on the Environmental Select Committee briefly this morning to hear submissions into my Environmental Protection Agency bill, and I heard another gentleman, a submitter, talked about managing the environment. Sir, I would challenge that the environment, or how we term it from where I come from, the tai ao, is something that you manage. What we are here to do, and my colleague William Sewell mentioned in his contribution, was that we are here to protect, to nurture, to awhi, to manaaki, to look after what is ours for the short time that we're on this earth, sir. So there have been two occasions today that I've heard the expression managing the environment, and we don't have to look very far to see the impact of climate change, not just here in New Zealand but all around the country. So I would say that the use of the word managing is inappropriate, but that is what the Minister has said in reading this bill for the third time. Sir, I just want to clarify another point that the Minister made in this House, and he talked about the grand or the good advice that he receives from the Māori Party, particularly in reference to Clause 4A of this bill when it comes to the Treaty of Waitangi. Sir, perhaps for your benefit and other members of the House, can I make that a point very clear around mandate? It's important as holders of Māori seats that there is only one party in this House that can say with confidence that they speak on behalf of Māori, because Labour holds 6 of the 7 seats. So, sir, I just want that clarified in this House, that when the government talks about receiving good advice from their coalition party, the Māori Party, that they keep that in perspective. Because I'd hate for them to feel that the advice they're getting from the Māori Party actually is a reflection of all the iwi around the country, because it simply is not. And so I want to make sure that that point is really, really important. But, sir, in terms of the clause I indicated, 4A, when it comes to the Treaty of Waitangi, there are two particular phrases there that probably highlights my issue around the government's reliance on the Māori Party. And there's Clause 4A, Section A, talks about a Māori's perspective. Sir, can I say that that terminology is very dated? It's a very 80s term, and if you go around iwi Māori katoa, they don't use the word Māori perspective. Kaupapa Māori, yes, you hear that, but not Māori perspective. So I just want to give that piece of advice for free. The second clause, sir, is in Part B of 4A, where it talks about iwi authorities. Now, we well know, because we've got one right happening now, is the emergence of hapu entities. So these are two examples of the reliance of the government on the Māori Party advice. And I'm saying that in all respect, that things have moved, and you need to ensure that you are speaking to people that hold mandate, and I'm sure my colleagues on this side are more than happy to help build your strength in dealing with Treaty of Waitangi issues. Sir, I stand there, that's my contribution. We cannot stand in support of this bill. It's lost the opportunity, and I think it's got really bad advice. Kia ora tātou.
Nook Karako.